Ireland on thin ice as Boris considered to trigger Article 16 while tensions is off the chart. Ireland's political leaders are reported to be very worried that Brexit tensions will see Boris Johnson move to trigger Article 16. A former Irish diplomat has alleged to Express.co.uk that the Irish government is very worried about the UK's threats to triggering Article 16. Ray Bassett has argued that triggering the Brexit article would leave Dublin in a very, very bad position. He added that within Irish political circles there is concern that Ireland overplayed its hand during the Brexit negotiations when former leader now Deputy Prime Minister Leo Varadkar opted for a strong pro-EU position. Mr. Bassett told Express.co.uk, "On the overall picture Ireland is very worried, and I saw the Taoiseach last night was very worried that the UK was going to invoke Article 16. Which would place us in a very, very bad position. There's also a feeling quietly in Dublin that we brought some of this ourselves. Particularly by Leo Varadkar and Simon Coveney's early period where we adopted a very hostile attitude to the UK. Which wasn't in Ireland's interest at any stage. But was very much seen as playing the European card." The former Irish diplomat also alleged to Express.co.uk that behind closed doors the government of Ireland is privately very worried by the EU stance on fishing rights. Ray Bassett has spoken out to say that while Dublin publicly backs the European Union and France in their dispute with the UK of fisheries in the Channel, Ireland got a very bad deal from the EU's Michel Barnier during the Brexit negotiations. Mr. Bassett told Express.co.uk, "Officially Ireland will back the European Union in France. But privately they will be very worried about what's happening from a few points of view. One, on the fishing dispute, Ireland got a very bad deal from Barnier during his negotiations where he started, and I see the Dutch are also complaining that he sought to protect the French interests in terms of British waters. And the Irish got the biggest cuts of anybody in British water." He continued, "So there's a degree that we had to stand with the European Union at that stage because we were quite vulnerable and we needed the European Union particularly in relation to the Irish border. But also, privately there will be an awful lot of sympathy for the British on fisheries because we're in a similar position. We have very large fishing grounds, and whereas the European Union is to allocate 40% of the fish in British waters to the UK. Here in Ireland rights where we have very extensive waters, we're gonna get 15%. It was partly compensated by the European Union giving us some fishing rights in UK waters." Mr. Bassett added, "So some of them have been revoked, but we still have a situation in our waters where we only have 15%. So there privately they'll be feeling that as a coastal state, we believe much more than coastal states should have a much bigger say and percentage of fish in their own waters." In another news, Boris Johnson has insisted he wants to negotiate a solution to the post-Brexit issues affecting Northern Ireland, but said overriding parts of his deal with the EU would be perfectly legitimate. Mr. Johnson insisted solving the problems with Brussels still seems possible, but said the UK could trigger Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol reasonably and appropriately. European Commission Vice President Maros Šefčovič said on Monday that if the British government suspended the protocol, it would have serious consequences for the region and Brussels' relationship with the UK. During a speech to business leaders and diplomats at the Lord Mayor's banquet in London, Mr. Johnson said, "Let me say, given all the speculation, that we would rather find a negotiated solution to the problems created by the Northern Ireland Protocol, and that still seems possible. But if we do invoke Article 16, which by the way is a perfectly legitimate part of that protocol, we will do so reasonably and appropriately, because we believe it is the only way left to protect the territorial integrity of our country, and meet our obligations to the people of Northern Ireland under the Belfast, Good Friday, Agreement." Earlier, Downing Street said there were still significant gaps between the two sides and that the conditions to invoke Article 16, which would in effect suspend elements of the arrangements that prevent a hard border in Ireland, had been met. The Prime Minister's official spokesman would not put a deadline on how long talks would continue, but said, "We are going to be continuing talks, intensified talks, between the two teams to try and find a consensual solution."